Hello and welcome to my channel. It's Monica from Crafting with Quilling Lady and I hope you have absolutely fabulous day. I have 3 projects for you. This video it is pretty long, so I encourage you to grab yourself a cup of coffee or tea and then watch along and feel inspired to create something beautiful and unique. My New Year's resolution this year was to have a look at my stash, look at the design papers and create some projects. It is a little bit challenging because all these papers are absolutely beautiful and we just want to look at them. So I really had to challenge myself and create something with them. For my projects today, I'm using this beautiful Midwinter design paper, which comes from AlterArt, and you can buy it at Skarnica Pomysłów. I'll leave the link to the online shop down below and the name of this collection. As you can see, this design paper is double-sided and it is pretty thick as well, so you can use it for card making, home decor, or even beautiful boxes. This 12 by 12 inches paper part comes with 3 other sheets and you can fussy cut all these small elements. Actually, it didn't take me that long to fussy cut all the butterflies and all other elements. It took me about an hour when I was watching a film, so it was pretty easy. I also challenged myself to use edgeable dies from my collection, and these come from Crafter's Companion. For my first card, I'm going to use 12 by 6 inches white card, and I placed it on scoreboard just to make sure my front panel will measure 6 by 6 inches. So I wanted the top of the butterfly to be at around 6 inches. And that worked pretty well. I used low-tack tape to put the die on the card before I put it through the die cutting machine. And as you can see, it has a lace look, so I need to use a pokey tool just to get rid of all the small elements. What is your tip to get rid of all the lacy elements when you die cut? Can you please let me down in the comments down below? I would really love to know what's your best option for that. Now I put a scrap paper at the top because I didn't want to add color on the back of the card. And I'm using this dye ink and I'll leave the name of it in the description down below. And I'm applying the color using ink blending tool. As you can see, I was a little bit more heavy-handed on the wings of the butterflies because I wanted to give it a color variation. And that worked pretty well. I also applied the color to create this beautiful blue frame. And this color worked pretty well with the whole design paper collection. It's really beautiful. Now I'm using my ruler to create mats and layers for the front panel. And I'm going to use this beautiful design paper, which is called With Love 01. I created white rectangle and I put double-sided tape and I'm going to use liquid glue to create my first white frame, and then I'm going to attach the beautiful design paper on top, and that will give me our front panel. You can have a look at your stash and choose the design papers you've got, but if you are interested in this design paper, as I said before, the link will be in the description down below. Using double-sided tape and liquid glue works really well because then you make sure that all the elements are stuck properly. I use a frame cutting die from my stash, and I thought it would be a good idea to give it a little bit more contrast, so I use alcohol marker to color it in because I didn't have a card in dark blue. And for this one I'm using Prussion Blue TB7. And if you don't have the cardstock with the matching color, you can use either alcohol markers from your stash or even aqua markers. That will work as well. whatever is in your stash. And I really encourage you to use it, because then you actually stretch all your supplies. And when you apply color on small elements, I try to use a small scrap paper so I don't apply ink to my fingers. And that worked pretty well. And then I'm going to apply this beautiful frame on my front panel, and I also die cut the sentiment in Polish, which says "for you." And then you can use the card for birthday, Mother's Day, Father's Day, or whatever occasion you've got. Here I fussy cut all the elements, and I'm just playing with the layout and the design. And I actually decided to use these 3 butterflies. The color variation is really beautiful and it worked pretty well. And now we're nearly done. Now we have to cut the bottom part, and I used my trimmer. And to make it even better and more professional, I'm using my ruler. I'm going to measure the back panel, and I'm going to put white card on top. If you also want, you can use another white rectangle on the back, so we don't really see the die cut butterflies. So this card actually can stand beautifully on the shelf, and I think that will be an amazing gift for someone. Okay, for our second project, I'm going to use Venetian Scrolls cutting die, which is also an edgeable, and this time I'm placing it on 6 by 6 inches card base on one of the sides. As you can see, I still have the die on my base, and I'm applying the ink around, because this die has some elements that die cut and some that don't, so you can actually apply the color on top, and that gives you a really nice effect. And remember to clean your die before you remove it, because otherwise your fingers will be all blue or any other color you use. And again, I'm using my pokey tool to get rid of all the small elements, and that worked pretty well. Now we need our scissors just to make sure we cut the sides, so it is really nice front panel. And again, I'm going to die cut the second half. It's exactly the same way as I did before, and then apply the color and use scissors. I really encourage you to have a look at your stash and look at your inks, because I'm pretty sure you have inks in different colors, so sometimes we don't really need the cardstock in this particular color. We can just apply the color by using pigment inks or dye inks or even distress oxides, whatever you've got. And again, as you can see, I've got a small scrap piece of paper, and I put it on the die just to make sure my fingers are clean. And that's how it looks like when it's done. And I really like this front panel. But just to make it even better, I created 2 squares that are slightly smaller than 6 by 6 inches. And on one of them, we are going to use this Prussian Blue alcohol marker to create that really dark blue frame. And as you can see, you don't really need the cardstock in this color. You can just apply the color on the sides, and no one will ever know that you just used a marker to create that frame. And again, I've got double-sided tape on the back, and then I also cut the same square size and I put it on the back, which is white. And that way, no one will ever know that you used alcohol marker to create this beautiful square. And I wasn't really conscious of all the sides, so now I need to use scissors just to make sure I get rid of that small white bit here, which was pretty quick to fix. And now I'm also going to apply this white panel, and that will give me really nice background for my beautiful edgeables on the front. and that way we also create our front panel to be thicker and will stand out proud later on. Okay, so now it's time to stick it together. And as you can see, I put my squares on the left and I left them flat, and I'm applying liquid glue. I really encourage you to use really strong liquid adhesive because it works well, and you just can make dots in small parts where the lacy part of die cutting is. This is my totally favorite liquid glue and I love it because it's really strong. And now, as you can see, I smoothed the glue just to make it even, and I wasn't really careful, so I took it off and I adhere the front panel again, and that worked pretty well. And that's our card base done. Now I'm going to measure the middle part, and I'm going to create mats and layers as well. So when you inked your beautiful edgeables on the sides and you put a little bit of ink in the middle, that's absolutely fine because we are going to cover it later on. Not a problem. So for this one, I'm going to use this beautiful design paper, and it comes from Midwinter 05 and it's called Good Luck. And again, I use my Prussian Blue alcohol marker to create that dark blue frame, and I'm going to attach the beautiful design paper on top and stick it in the middle of my front panel. And even standing alone like this card is really, really beautiful. Have you ever used edgeable dies or border dies? If you have, I would really like to know which one is your favorite, because to be honest, I can't decide on mine. Here I die cut the frame again with the same sentiment as before, and you can see all the small elements fussy cut, and I was just playing with the layout, where to put all the elements. And this is the most fun part of creating cards or other projects. I decided to add a little bit of color around this beautiful teacup, because then it will match beautifully the beautiful edgeable dies, cutting dies on the sides of the front panel. And that worked really, really well. And for this one, for the elements, I also use double-sided foam adhesive from different brands. It doesn't really matter which one you use. Just make sure it's stuck properly, and you can always use liquid glue on top. To peel off the double-sided foam adhesive, I usually use pokey tool because it is much quicker. I would also like to know which one is your favorite of the design papers you've got at home. Is there a collection that you've got multiples of? Because I do, some of them. And I think I'll go back and create more projects with this beautiful design paper because it is absolutely stunning. And as I said before, you can use it for any occasion actually, because it's blue, so you can create some mail cards as well, not only like birthday cards for your female friends, but also for men as well. Okay, so I'm attaching a few other elements. You can also use gems, and I'll do it later on, and I'll put the blue tiny gems in the corners of the card, and that will give me really nice effect, a little bit shine and sparkle, which I think this card needed. If you don't have a pokey tool, you can also use your fingernails to peel off the double-sided tape, but with a pokey tool it is much easier. Okay, and now our card is done, and as you can see, I put the tiny gems in the corners, and our second project is done. Super simple, beautiful, and actually pretty quick. Now, let's have a look at the third one. For this one, I've got 6 by 6 inches card base, and I'm going to score it in the middle, which is 3 inches, and we're going to create a Z-fold card. Super simple and easy. Now we also need to create the panels that go inside and outside the card. And for this one, I'm going to use this beautiful pattern paper. And I'm going to use this beautiful border and also this pattern that will go inside. And again, I used this Prussian Blue alcohol marker to create that dark blue frame, and then I adhered the beautiful design paper, and that will go inside my Z-fold card. Now it's time to attach all the other panels, and I actually attached 2 of them in the middle and 2 outside. And when you do your measuring, just make sure you measure sometimes twice or 3 times, just to make sure all the panels are measured properly and cut properly, because I actually made a mistake here when I was creating the card and my panels were slightly smaller, so I had to do them again. As you can see, I've got this beautiful frame die which I colored in with alcohol marker, and I put the sentiment. I just wanted to make sure you can see the sentiment when you close the card. Now you can see my panels that will go inside and outside of the card, and I really encourage you just to create Z-fold cards because they are so unique and beautiful. If you don't have edgeable dies, you can just create a panel that I will show you in few moments, because my edgeable die cuts will stay on the panel. Okay, now it's time to decorate our front, and I use the other side of the pattern paper. Super simple and quick. And as you can see, I use double-sided tape and liquid glue just to make sure everything is stuck properly. Have you ever used dark colors for your card making? If you have, I would really like to see your projects. Please leave the link down below so I can have a look and admire your creation. Z-fold cards are actually really easy to create and really quick, and they're just so amazing. For this Z-fold card, I'm going to use this beautiful cutting die, edgeable from Crafter's Companion, called Ornate Henna, and I actually die cutted it twice because I need a longer panel. As you can see, I'm taking off the die cut here, and then we need to get rid of all the small elements and use scissors to make sure that the sides are nice and straight. And again, do you have any tip how to get rid of all these small lacy elements easier than using a pokey tool? To be honest, I don't really mind using the pokey tool, but if you have any other suggestion or tip, I would really like to know. So I'm taking off all the small bits, and I did it twice because we need 2 of them to have 12 inches for our card. And I also decided to add a little bit of blue at the top and have like a gradient as well. So darker at the top and then straight lighter and to the white. And when you use really lacy and delicate cutting die cutting paper here, I really encourage you to be really delicate because we don't want to damage our beautiful die cuts. Now I'm going to score it exactly in the middle because it will go inside our Z-fold card, and you can use a scoreboard or you can just fold it in half, whichever works for you. Now, as you can see, that's the panel I told you about earlier, and my edgeable die cuts will stay on top. I scored it in half, and then one side has to be scored again in half for our Z-fold card. And this one was slightly smaller than 12 inches because I wanted to make sure that it fit my card. You can always use a ruler just to make sure everything is even. So that's how it can go here, and you can use it for your Z-fold as well if you don't have edgeable dies. That's absolutely fine, and you can always decorate it with beautiful design papers from your stash. Now I'm going to use liquid glue to apply these beautiful ornate die cuts on the blue panel, and then I'm attaching it to my Z-fold. As you can see, I'm adhering the front one just on the first half of it, and then on the inside panel, which is pretty quick actually, and you don't need that much glue or adhesive. And then our cut is nearly done. We just need a few more elements to decorate our beautiful card. And that's how it looks like when you open it, and actually when you put it on a desk or table, it stands really proud, and it's really beautiful, and it has lots of dimension. I decided to attach some flowers and then this beautiful clock. It worked really well with the color combination here. Oh, this design paper is simply stunning. A few flowers here and there, and our card is done. Super simple and easy. And with these flowers or butterflies, you can always shape the paper as well with your fingers. And I really encourage you to do it with your small elements that you fussy cut from the design papers, because you can do it really quickly and it gives beautiful dimension to the card. And that's our third card done. I would really like to know which one is your favorite. Have you ever used edgeable dies or border dies to create cards? If you have, I would really like to see them. So please leave the link down below in the comment section. Thank you so much for watching. Here you can have a look at 2 other projects I created with different challenges for myself. If you feel inspired, have a great day and happy crafting. Bye!